really, there are things that we need to be talking about, and well, let's get into it. There is, dare I say, call it a certain conspiracy going on in the background, and a lot more people are seeing it now, but not as many as they should see it. But a lot of people are, more than before, are seeing it more and more than before, and we need to talk about it. And so I'm talking about it on my whoppers. And there is a force outside of us that wants to turn our lives into decay, and we need to be aware of that. Hey, welcome back to our Retire Early lifestyle, where we encourage people to get off the treadmill and enjoy life as soon as possible. And we always say, right now. I got some whoppers for you today. As usual, we're going to give you our perspective. In the last 12 years, we've been traveling abroad and traveling the world. And when we reflect back on that lifestyle, we think what the life of it's a different life. Like, for example, there are so many other people involved in your life doing things for you. For example, when you want to fly to Ecuador, you aren't personally, literally doing anything to fly to Ecuador other than purchasing a ticket and showing up at the airport and getting on a plane. Other people are doing everything else. There's a pilot there, there's an airline, a company that has invested millions into a machine that flies in the sky, and everything else, everybody else that's in the plane that helps you be comfortable, and all of these people that are doing all of these things for you so that you can do the thing that you paid for, and that's travel to Ecuador. At first, when we first went to Ecuador, we would go to the coast and travel every week to different spots of the coast, but eventually we decided we liked slow travel, and we were more of a slow nomad. And so it's a totally different lifestyle, and I see people like on social media that are doing this in other spheres. So it's not just international travel, it's also like at home travel, like in a travel trailer or a motorhome. And it's just people finding their happiness way before retirement age. And it just makes one reflect, right? Like when you have this lifestyle where literally everybody's doing everything for you, and it seems like, wow, what an amazing life and how easy life is, and it just makes you want to reflect on those that are less fortunate than you. And that brings us up to the state of decay in the cities in America. And of course, the recent essays that some of the politicians have been coming out with, like, well, for example, nobody really, I know there's always been an industry that they want to say that they take care of the homeless or help with the homeless problem. But to me, it's like the healthcare industry. It's like the healthcare industry, when you think about the billions of dollars invested in the healthcare industry, this is just an example. And then we translate that example to other areas in the world and in life, right? That is to say that the healthcare industry is so vested in the idea that they're serving sick people. And so they really kind of need people to be sick in order for all of those billions to pay off. You see what I'm saying? That's my point. And it's the same with the homeless industry, because if somebody really wanted to eradicate homelessness, I'm not saying, I use the word eradicate carefully, I mean the state of being homeless, not eradicate people. We have people that are trying to put rockets on Mars, and yet we don't know how to, help people that are homeless. What, are you telling me that's what the problem is? I don't think that's what the problem is. I think that there's an industry that feeds off of it, just like the healthcare industry. And that's why when somebody like Trump comes out and says, no, I would just get them off the street and put them in a positive environment and try to help them out. Well, where's everybody else? Why hasn't it been done before? And it just makes, it's like I've talked about this issue before, because we've traveled, and you sometimes land in some of these cities, and some places are worse than others, and there's a lot more of this going on, and it's just unavoidable. Like Sometimes we come to the beach and there's some homeless people on the beach, and it's part of the world. It's like sometimes you think, well, what can I do to help some of these people? It's like some of these people, there are those that will improve their lives if they could just get a little help or some encouragement, you know? But that doesn't mean that they're all there. Not all of them want to. One of the things about addiction, because we have a ministry that we help people with alcohol addiction, which is something we have gone through. We come from alcoholic families, and we've gone through addiction and overcome addiction. So that's an amazing testimony and story to have overcome. And when you overcome something like that, you go through something, you go through the fire, and you come out on the other side, and you're a better person. You're wiser because of it, I dare say, than someone that has not gone through it in certain ways in that aspect of life. And so you can help others that are still having issues. But one of the premises of overcoming addiction, which is what a lot of this homelessness is all about, is people and the fentanyl. This is why I'm talking about it, because it's so mainstream news. And I say mainstream not because it's not happening, it's just that I'm giving you my slant here, and it is one of the whoppers because it's in our face all the time. And that's one of the things we're told. Oh, fentanyl, oh, cartels, you know. Oh, you know, it's cheap, it's $1, and that's just, and then you have the president of Mexico that comes out and says, whoa. This is not our problem, this is an American problem.
The Mexican president has recently blamed families in the United States for fentanyl overdose crisis. He cited America's broken value system, with parents not hugging their children enough, as the reason for fentanyl abuse.
There is a lot of disintegration in families. There is a lot of individualism. There is a lack of love, of brotherhood, of hugs, of affection, of attention to the youngsters.
This has to do with core values that are missing in America. Boom! He hits you right over the head with that, and it's like, wow, yes, that's true. Because we know something about addiction, and we also know that for somebody to overcome addiction, they have to want to overcome addiction. And so, but I've read stories of people that were helped, and because someone had some empathy for them, they actually improved their lives and moved on with their lives. So there is hope for people. But again, they do have to deep down want that. And some people that have improved themselves, that were within that group, will tell you themselves that a lot of the people, they're saying, even most of them don't want it. They're not there yet. They're just people that are in a decayed state of mind that aren't ready to make any change. And so no amount of political solutions is actually going to help a lot of these people, although it can improve a neighborhood by, for example, by removing the decay from being so, making the area worse.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to allow it to make turn a whole geographical area into a toilet. And you can help these people by moving them along, and those that do want to get sober and improve their lives can. And those that don't have to be over here destroying private property and getting in the way of those that want to have a positive life.
The biggest enabler is the governments of these cities and towns that are allowing this to happen.
Well, we saw this many years ago, decades ago.
It's enabling.
When the whole premise that you give an addicted person a stipend so that, you know, they just end up staying on their addiction, and they're just basically being encouraged. There's so much of that. There are so many things within the actions of separating a good government and bad government. And some of the bad government is portrayed as appearing to do good. So there's an appearance that they're helping someone by, say, giving somebody a stipend, when really all you're doing is enabling them to stay on the downward path that they're on. And how is it that all of these people are homeless? So moving people aside in these cities, well, okay, that's better than not moving them. But in the end, the decay is based on foundational issues that are present that need to be addressed. And first and foremost is the hatefulness that people are taught. People are institutionally taught to hate other people. This has got to stop. You know, it's like there is no justification for hurling hate on another human being, regardless of how justified one thinks they are. We don't want to talk about these issues on a superficial level. We want to go a little bit deeper and get to the core of, you know, what causes these things and what's a real solution. And some of these solutions are cultural. They're going to take generations to. But even with a large tree, it begins with a small seed. So
I think it's healing.
Healing. You're talking about healing a culture. This conversation, I'm telling you, I could talk for hours because there's so much to cover. And I won't do it in this video because for obvious reasons. But suffice is to say that there is, dare I say, call it a certain conspiracy going on in the background, and a lot more people are seeing it now, but not as many as they should see it. But a lot of people are, more than before, are seeing it, more and more than before, and we need to talk about it. And so I'm talking about it on my Whoppers. And there is a force outside of us that wants to turn our lives into decay, and we need to be aware of that. There is no such thing as existing in this world without being aware of good and evil. And there is an evil force trying to destroy your life. And if we don't do anything about it, you know, like at the very least try to avoid it, knowing what we're avoiding, how to avoid it. Like, for example, look at what rents have done in every city. It's amazing. I know that when we left USA back a dozen years ago, the rents were already high, but now they're like twice as much. It's unbelievable. And I know that a lot of the big city people are earning much higher salaries, and yet I keep seeing this headline, which is one of the Whoppers, that keeps telling us, oh, which city's $300,000 a year feels like 100? Say what? It was just a few years ago, well, okay, maybe a little longer than that, when, gee, $100,000 a year was an amazing salary, and I had that salary. It wasn't a salary, it was business income, and it was an amazing salary. But now we're being told that 300 can feel like 100. And what is that all about? Think about it. That is one of those forces there designed to destroy our lives, where our prosperity is being slowly and incrementally degraded. And that's why we talk about Bitcoin, and we should talk about also gold and silver, because Bitcoin is a kind of gold and silver. It's just digital. And I know a lot of people don't get that and they don't want to hear it. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with, go with it. But one thing is for sure, we need to know exactly what it is that's destroying our purchasing power. I talk a lot about that in my videos, And I've talked about how God hates uneven weights and measures, as it says in the ancient scriptures. And what is fiat money if not uneven weights and measures? So thanks for coming to the video. Let me know in your comments what your thoughts are, and have a wonderful day.